As long as I was going after the crooks that didn't have badges, I was everybody's hero.
So yeah, so Lucas, Mr. Lucas here is flip-flopping, and Cox covered it, but this is a pretty national event. This televangelist radio guy he had a nationally syndicated program, and he went down, like you said, to the jail, talked with Lucas, and Lucas started to flip even on you now.
Oh yeah, because Clemmy was there, so and Clemmy wanted him at that time to be this serial killer,
right?
And she loved Boutwell. She trusted Boutwell. Now, after she started seeing the evidence that we had, after she started figuring out what was going on, she turned on Boutwell.
Yeah.
And she became a strong ally of ours. But back then, she thought that I was one of these, part of this satanic panic, Yeah. That's what Boutwell was saying. That's what all of them were saying. When you get a rat caught in the corner, well, first thing he's going to do is say you're against God,
Yeah.
I'm mixing my metaphors like I'm Gary Richardson. Yeah. You hold a fish out of water long enough, it'll say anything you want it to.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yes, but it went a long way toward winning that trial and helping that jury understand what was going on. Yeah, you got to speak to the heart sometimes more than just to the intellect. So we'll play some of this interview, and that way you can hear what Lucas was saying. And I don't think Netflix, I don't even think Netflix had this interview, did they, when they did the documentary? I don't think so. This is like some deep cuts here, man. These are some B-rolls from way in the back of the archive. Now, they had this newspaper article. Okay. Because I made them copies of just about everything I had. But we didn't find that tape until about a month ago. Yeah. Yeah. Just this little cassette tape. Yeah. Ain't it amazing how it all just kind of comes together? Yeah. Yeah. Comes together so nicely. Comes together, yeah. Just like how this even reflects on Jason Baldwin's case. Right. The West Memphis 3. Right.
Then did you or did you not kill the people you said you killed? I have killed the people I said. They may have somewhere along the line one that matches another date, but they are supposed to went back and took and checked on each case to make sure there was no conflicts. They also know that these work records are phony work records. They know that the people that I've took back to the crimes themselves did not help me to go back to those crimes, that I went back to them on my own. That I've told the people in Georgetown the truth, and they know it's the truth. And regardless of what I do, they're going to try and block it. I've asked for the sheriff to come up here. I've asked for the FBI to come up here and talk to me privately so we can get this straightened out, and they won't do it. And the only way I can take and come forward with it is have people behind me that's going to protect me here and protect people out there.
So you're saying that the recanting that you did and saying you didn't kill these people, that's not true?
No, it's not true. It's only what they want here, and that's all. It's not what the actual truth is. The truth is that I've killed around 360 people. And the only way I can prove it is with the help of the police in Georgetown and the Rangers who have turned their backs on me. And that's the only way I can do it.
So, in a nutshell, the recorder goes on before Henry's lawyer can get there. And he says, I have killed people, or says, I have killed the people that I said I have killed. So he's flip-flop. Yeah, I killed the people that I said I killed. We'll be able to play part of the tape where he says, they know that my work records were forged. They were forged. Right.
They also know that these work records are phony work records. They know that
that silliness about he and Otis being such criminal masterminds that they would pay somebody to forge records where you sold $18 worth of scrap metal.
I was painting that day. It's so stupid.
But the amazing thing that we found out much later was that DPS knew those records were genuine.
Right.
Ed Walsh knew those records were genuine
Right.
because they took those records and the Department of Public Safety, the state police, the Texas Rangers' very own handwriting experts
Yeah.
analyzed those documents and said, no, these signatures they're real. This is really Henry's signature. That's really Otis Toole's signature. They were really in Jacksonville, Florida, selling scrap metal.
Yeah, let's just hide that.
And then standing in line down at the mission to get lunch,
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Just
Unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Well, listen to this part that Cox writes in here. And this is a jab at you. So he says, this is a quote from Henry.
Before you get there, though, there's something I want to say here.
What's that?
Lucas said in an interview which was recorded by the Denver minister, a former rock star whose daily talk show is distributed by satellite throughout the United States. People, Google Bob Larson, radio preacher.
Yeah.
You'll find out where he was exposed about all that kind of stuff. He wasn't a rock star. He was in a little group that has been compared to Sock Hops and Pat Boone. And they only did high school sock hops.
In a Lions Club.
In one Lions Club event. But he was saying, I was a heavy metal rock star. Well, Bob, heavy metal wasn't even invented yet in the 1960s.
Yeah, it wasn't really poking up yet.
No. So,
Yeah.
no. But, that gave him a platform to start going after Satanism and heavy metal music and how the youth their minds were being poisoned and all this. He's an opportunist.
He's definitely an opportunist.
Just like Mike Cox is an opportunist.
Oh,
he's
he is.
He's taking this former rock star, Bob Larson, the radio preacher, and using him as a springboard to say something bad about our grand jury.
Right.
And to get Henry back in line confessing for the Rangers again. The article right before this, he used Bob Hope as a springboard.
Yeah.
Bob Hope came to town and did a program in a circus tent. So that gave Mike Cox the idea to compare us to a circus. So, and then he interviewed Felipe Tompawkin. Who was the other one? Was it Russ Hunt? No, maybe not. Felipe Tompawkin. Oh, a former Ranger.
And a former Ranger.
A former Ranger, a former
That's right.
Texas Ranger. All of these people with no axe to grind.
Well, listen to this quote. So this is what Lucas says. He said, "Every time I say I didn't kill the people, it only helps the people." He said, referring to McLennan County District Attorney Vic Feazell. Ooh.
And in order for me to stay here, they will, and protect Clemmy, in other words, then I have to do as I'm told.
No, not really. We told him to tell the truth, period. Just tell the truth. But before you start telling your version of the truth, look at all these records.
But what do you think, Vic? So here he is. Grand jury's about to come back the next week from when this interview was taped. He's flip-flopping back and forth. So he is trying to please Clemmy. Mm-hmm. But now he has this national radio broadcaster sitting in front of him. So he wants to please him.
And Clemmy. Yeah.
And Clemmy.
And Clemmy. Yeah. Because this was having taking an emotional toll on Clemmy. She was feeling bad.
Well, and with the grand jury now investigating the validity, she has to be like, what, ruh-roh.
But I got to give Sister Clemmy credit, man. When
Absolutely.
she started looking at the evidence, she was not a participant in willful ignorance. No. Sister Clemmy was concerned about the truth. And when she saw all the evidence, and then I sat down and I prayed with Clemmy. And I prayed that God's will be done. And whatever the truth is, that it come out.
Did Clemmy sit in on any of the grand jury stuff, or only when she was called to talk?
Only when she was there.
Did she ever meet like the Lemons family?
I don't know. She may have met them in my office.
Yeah.
It's possible. that they were together at the same time. But I really don't know. I can't remember.
So that'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see her react to actual victim families who don't believe Henry did it, to actually have that. Because that's a powerful interaction for her to be like, no, Henry did it. Then to really start to hear the testimony and really meet the families, it's got to be like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And by then, see, Bob Lemons, he was calling his own press conferences.
Yeah.
And he was getting his tapes out. We've got tapes that Bob did where he spent his own retirement money traveling all up and down the East Coast, pinning down when Henry was where.
Right.
Because his daughter, he and Joyce's daughter was allegedly the first person Henry killed after getting out of prison in Maryland.
Right.
Yeah. This has been 2 or 3 days later. And we know that he took a bus?
Yeah. Yeah. He went right to his families.
Right to his family. And they say he didn't leave.
Man.
He didn't leave.
Yep.
Now, the Rangers didn't bother going to talk to Henry's family and find out where he was during this time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I guess that's something I never thought of.
Well, I say that's right, but at the same time, I'm reading Doug Swanson's book, Cult of Glory. Mm-hmm. And Doug talks about how he found some archival material that was just locked up kind of in a archival place filed next to the Ark of the Covenant or something. And it showed that they had done some background information and they absolutely knew that Henry was in other places. And they absolutely knew that he was in Jacksonville during the Orange Sox murder.
Right.
Because the DPS own handwriting expert said this is Henry's signature. You cannot be in 2 places at once.
So Cox is running this sweet article, and it's actually kind of impressive how quickly he wrote it. How quickly did he get the Bob Larson tape?
Probably pretty quick.
I mean, that's like only a few days turnaround time, and he just whipped this article out, pow, hit the news.
Yeah. Well, Cox was connected with Pauken. Mike Cox was. And apparently is connected with Larson, too, because Larson talks about him some in this tape.
Yes.
Well, we'll listen to some of that.
This morning, radio station KRZI in Waco, Texas, aired a report. And we're grateful to the folks, our affiliate at KBBW there in Waco, for making a tape of that report available to us. And part of what I am saying today is the result of this report. Mr. Tom Pauken of KRZI said, I have learned that the attorney appointed to represent Henry Lee Lucas in McLennan County demanded that religious broadcaster Bob Larson erase a taped interview with Henry Lee Lucas that Larson conducted Monday. KRZI has reason to believe that in the interview, Lucas recanted his recent statements to the media in which he claimed to have murdered only his mother. I've also been told by a reliable source, continuing to quote Mr. Pauken, that Lucas is not nearly so enthusiastic about being under the control of local McLennan County officials as he claimed to be at his recent press conference. In addition, KRZI has seen statements by Lucas in which he is highly critical of media reports that claim he didn't commit the murders he's confessed to. KRZI also has had the opportunity to check out some of the cases Lucas confessed to in one state. Lucas obviously provided information to police officers in that state which only the killer or accomplice would know. And Mr. Pauken of KRZI continues, unless one is to assume that a responsible state police agency was involved in a massive cover-up in these cases, which I find hard to accept, then I have to believe that Lucas is guilty of a lot of the murders he has confessed to.
Have I told how I got my copy?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he mailed it to me because he said he was interested in the truth.
After the attorney had requested that I erase the tape, and with KRZI having released their statement this morning, I have been advised by my attorney to make public the statement made to me by Henry Lee Lucas. Copies of what you will be hearing in a few moments will be sent to the proper authorities, the district attorney, Sheriff Boutwell and the Texas Rangers, as well as the attorney of Mr. Henry Lee Lucas. It is in the interest of truth that in a few moments I'm going to be airing the statement made to me by Henry Lee Lucas. I repeat, it is in the interest of finding out the truth.
When did you get your copy of the tape? Had this newspaper article come out first before you got your copy? Did you listen to this live? Did you know Henry had even made these statements?
I didn't even know Henry had done it.
Okay.
I heard about it like the next day. We were so busy trying to get things ready for the grand jury to come back.
Yeah.
I probably found out about it from Guy Cox, who is Henry's lawyer. But no, it took some doing to get him in there, and it was pretty quick. And you're right, Cox got this article out pretty quick. He was on a mission. He was carrying the water for Colonel Jim Adams.
Yep. Wow. So when you found out that, this guy who you're like, man, I thought we were friends, sitting down in your jail, had flipped on you, what was your feeling? Especially going back into the grand jury. Is it just like, well, we know how he is.
I knew how he was.
We have the evidence.
I knew how he was. And I saw the relationship he thought he had with Clemmy. Henry, nobody had ever been nice to Henry in his whole life. And he was in love with Clemmy.
Mm-hmm.
He was in love with Clemmy. He had a fantasy of maybe getting out someday and them being together.
Wow.
And Clemmy would look at me and go, no way, no. Because that wasn't Clemmy. Clemmy loved Henry in a spiritual way.
Right.
In a true Christian way. And like I said, I got to give Clemmy credit, because as soon as she figured out what was going on, she flipped on him, man.
Yeah.
She flipped on him, and she sat with Henry and she said, Henry, I want you to tell the truth.
Good.
She said, this is making you look like an ass. I want you to know that. This is making you look like an ass on national TV. But if it's the truth, you just keep doing it. And so he said, well, it's the truth.
Wow.
It's the truth.
Wow.
And I was lying to him the whole time. And they knew he was lying.
Yeah.
He was telling us about them showing him the pictures, about him letting him read the offense reports. And we know it happened because Linda Irwin, the Dallas homicide investigator who made up the fake case with fake photos, fake autopsy, fake everything, mails it down. And then when she walks in, Henry just starts reciting the facts. Right. Oh, yeah, that's one of mine. That's one of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Linda did that. But at the same time, those people in Dallas were not willing to violate the law enforcement brotherhood. Right. They weren't willing to cross that thin blue line. And so they decided, well, we just won't take any more Henry cases, Henry confessions, but we're not going to warn anyone else.
Right.
We're not going to let anybody know that he confessed to this bogus file that I mailed down to him. And Bob Prince never really had much of an answer for that when that came out either.
Yeah, he didn't.
But see, we didn't know all that stuff back then. Linda Irwin wasn't picking up the phone and calling me either.
Right.
I think she got in touch with me somewhat later after, we were about to wind down. I don't remember if she was a witness or not. I really don't recall. But I did have some contact with her. I remember that. That's
fair. So damage control. Let's talk about that. So this article hits, the mass public is going on. There's this grand jury thing going on up in Waco. It's about to come back. Man, it looks like this Henry guy's lying. And then this article comes out and says, no. Henry was telling the truth. It was now you guys, Vic. It was your office that was trying to twist him.
Me and Maddox were twisting his arms and violating his civil rights by getting him an attorney appointed and getting the truth out. We were just terrible folk.
So damage control. What do you do when an article like this came out?
Well,
what did you do?
I was kind of numb by then. Like I've said many times, April was one of the longest months I've ever lived in my life. April was at least 6 months long. The only thing longer maybe was my criminal trial. But no, I was just numb. I remember reading this and going, oh my God. Because see, by the time Guy Cox got there and shut it down, Guy didn't know what Henry had said. Guy asked Bob Larson for a copy of the tape, and Bob Larson goes, no.
Well, and according to the article, he actually asked him to destroy the tape,
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't.
He said, no.
He's like, oh no, I'm airing this bad boy.
No, this is my opportunity.
Right.
You know, I get to rub shoulders with somebody who killed around 360 people.
The truth is that I've killed around 360 people.
Which is important, Vic. Why?
Why?
You pointed this out a couple days ago.
Yeah. I think that might have been the only math Henry knew, was that there are 360 degrees in a circle.
Yeah.
Because he would always say, I killed around 360. Around.
So it's like this subconscious thing he was doing.
Yeah, I think so.
So you were numb to it. So an article like this would come out. Was your tactic to approach an article like this and discount it, or just kind of let it go by and just not comment?
I didn't have time to comment much. If they called me, I would say something. I think it might even, it says McLennan County District Attorney Vic Feazell issued a written statement after the broadcast saying that Lucas had told him that most of the statements were spliced from an earlier interview in Georgetown.
Interesting.
And that's what he told me. But he was probably lying to me too.
Yeah.
I killed the people. I killed them. I led them to bodies and all that stuff. And nobody ever helped me. And they never showed me anything.
And it's interesting just to hear Henry's voice tone way saying it. He's saying it real kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
I did murder them. Like he's,
Yeah.
like a little kid trying to hide something.
I have killed the people I said. They may have somewhere along the line one that matches another date, but they are supposed to went back and took and checked on each case to make sure there was no conflicts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the gig was up. He was scared of how Clemmy would think about him.
And fascinating part about this article is the last paragraph, Vic. It says, Clemmy Schroeder was hospitalized briefly last weekend for treatment of nervous exhaustion. So, man, she must have been going through all sorts of it. That's what you said, I mean.
Yeah.
Henry Lee said, "Are you going to air that tape?" I said, "Yes." Henry said, "Don't do it. It'll kill Sister Clemmy. She's upset. She's near death. She's distressed."
Yeah, it took a toll on her because we were doing our thing up in Waco with Henry unraveling all this stuff that the task force had done with these confessions.
Mm-hmm.
We were bringing in quality witnesses like Bob and Joyce Lemons, like the DA from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
On
the Scotty Scott.
On the Scotty Scott case.
Right.
And this DA is now a federal judge and was interviewed by Netflix in The Confession Killer. Piazza, his last name was Piazza. And quality guy.
Yeah.
And so we were getting all this good stuff here. I really think if I hadn't had some really good witnesses lined up with all this crap that was going on, that grand jury would have wanted to shut it down.
Yeah.
But we were able to come back, and before they had only heard from Hugh Ainsworth.
Right.
And he gave them a lot of information, but it was documentary, just documents. And he had interviewed Henry's family too.
Okay.
He had been up to Maryland interviewing him. And then Bob Lemons went back with Mike Ferry, who is an investigator with the Attorney General's office.
Right.
And helped Mike locate all these backwoods places and these people that he needed to talk to.
Wow.
Yeah. So Bob Lemons was a real hero in this.
Yeah.
And Bob and Joyce Lemons probably saved that grand jury from shutting down. them and Chris Piazza, because they had been reading all this stuff and they were wanting some answers.
Yeah.
From me.
And honestly, Vic, if I didn't know any better and I read that article, that's what I would think. I'd be like, man, what's that DA trying to do up there? I mean, God, get this mass murderer off the streets. Why is he trying to save him? Yeah, I mean, oof.
Yeah,
Wild.
really. Yeah, it was kind of bad. And this was before they started throwing allegations at me personally that I had broken the law. They were saying I violated Henry's rights, but I hadn't been accused of being soft on drugs or not prosecuting police cases or taking bribes.
Yeah.
That's what I was indicted for. They claimed I was taking bribes. And they weren't able to make any of that stick. None of it. And not only was I found not guilty, but then we sued Belo, Charles Duncan, for helping put all this stuff together, and it got me in the Guinness Book of World Records.
It's pretty
thanks
fascinating.
to my hard work and the hard work of my good friend Gary Richardson.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to give him a call this weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
We need to get him on the show at some point.
I know.
I guess when we start into the Belo case.
Yeah, when we start into Belo or when we start into my criminal trial.
Yes.
We'll get him on.
But this was just another one of these articles, Vic, like the past few episodes we've been going through, to really show what the climate was and to show some of the key figures that were all about just putting out this disinformation.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. Now, Daryl Dunn up in Waco for the Waco Trib.
Okay.
He wrote an article too that came out on May 2nd.
Oh, same day.
Yeah. In the Waco paper, and it's Lucas Disputes Larson radio interview.
Wait.
Yeah.
So same day.
Same day.
And Henry's already disputing. What?
We have dueling newspaper articles.
This is insane. That was a M. Night Shyamalan plot twist.
Isn't it?
Same day this came out?
Same day. This one came out in Austin. This one came out in Waco.
Oh,
and
man.
then later, I think this one also ran in Austin, or it may have run in Austin on the same day. This
is
not
crazy.
Austin, Waco. Yeah.
This is crazy.
Isn't it?
Wow. So by the time it had aired, Lucas was already recanting his recanting.
Exactly.
Whoa. This is like a weird inception.
It is. This is a strange acid trip. How far back can it go? How many recants can I recant?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, what does this one say?
Lucas claims that he did not make the statements to Mr. Larson as aired on the radio. Feazell said he claims most of the statements aired were spliced from a prior interview with in Georgetown. But, now that I've listened to the tape, I think Henry was lying about that. I think it's valid. I think that was really Larson's tape.
Wow.
It's our position that no matter, this is what I say, it's our position that no matter whether Henry Lucas says he did the murders or didn't do the murders, he can't be in two places at once.
Right.
We've stated from the outset of this investigation that we are only interested in the facts, and we continue to be interested only in the facts, Feazell said.
Boom.
So I kept trying to, instead of chasing those rabbits, get back in line, stay focused. And I got to say, being a meditator really helped with that, because it's really easy to get into obsessive compulsive behavior patterns and thought patterns when you're under a lot of pressure.
Sure.
But when you're a meditator, you learn to be more conscious about what you're doing and less compulsive about it.
I like that.
And so I would sometimes take off chasing this rabbit, but then I'd realize what was going on. I'd bring it back and I'd get centered and get focused. And that's what I'm doing here, is getting focused on, you can't be in two places at once.
Right.
Get around that, folks.
Fundamentally.
Argue all you want, but how can you be in two places at once? It's like this cartoon I saw once of, it was a shooting scene that had been caught on video, and you see this crazed guy with a gun, and it's going pow, and he's shooting this guy. And under it says the alleged shooter.
Oh, man.
The alleged shooter.
Stunning.
Yeah. So I tried not to get into those arguments. My dad taught me this when I was a kid.
You don't pee on the electric fence?
Yeah, that's part of it. He says, don't get into a whizzing contest with a skunk.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's what my dad taught me. Don't get into a pissing contest with a skunk. Now, my dad wouldn't talk that way if anybody else was around, but he'd talk to me that way. Vic, you just don't get into a pissing contest with a skunk. And so
fair.
That's good. That's good wisdom.
Yeah, choose your battles.
And so I chose my battles, and I brought it back to let's look at the facts. In a number of the murders cleared by the task force, there are work records that indicate Lucas was in Florida on the same day he is supposed to have killed people in Texas. They also know these work records are phony. This is what he told Larson. They know these work records are phony work records. They know that the people that I've taken back to the crime scene did not help me to get back to those crime scenes. Well, yeah, they did. And the DPS knew that those records were not phony. They were genuine. Validated by their own experts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless one is to assume that a responsible state police agency was involved in a massive cover-up in these cases, which I find hard to accept, then I have to believe that Lucas is guilty of a lot of the murders he has confessed to.
Hi, I'm Vic Feazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Feazell, we understand.
That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Feazell.